Hello everyone, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. I couldn't pronounce hello everyone well, but actually, so hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. And this time, what I'd like to talk about is English going to lose a position as the most prevalent international language? So, about which I'd like to tell you stories, or I'd like to tell you my opinions. But you know, this is just a opinion of a person. But actually, I don't think that. So if you are maybe this, I think this has a kind of value. Well, I think maybe this kind of opinion might be what you want, because I'm a maybe. If you are frequent listeners, and of course, if you are not frequent listeners, I think you can understand. I think you can understand that I'm a non-native speaker of English language. So so which is why I'm not so good at speaking out English. Anyway, so there of course there are many non-native speakers of English language when it comes to English, or when it comes to the field of English language. So, for example, maybe there are many non-native speakers of English language. For example, in America, or in the United States of America. Anyway, so I don't know. And maybe if you live in London, for example, there must be many non-native speakers, and there are many colored people who speak English really well, because So it is said that London or Great Britain has the largest population of, well, the largest amount of colored people, which is what I have heard. Well, there maybe, well, I don't remember, but actually, so there may be the largest population of Asian people who live in Great Britain, or who live in London. Anyway, I have seen some kind of statistics or some kind of data showing that Great Britain has Great Britain has a lot of colored people. I think which is because Great Britain speaks not great. Of course, Great Britain doesn't speak English. The local people of Great Britain speak English, or British people speak English language, and which is the most prevalent or the most spread language all over the world, which is why people come to Great Britain, or people come to London, because London is really a huge city. And but actually, of course, many people, and I'm sorry for that sound, I'm sorry for that, bizarre, or that kind of alarm noise. And anyway, so of course many people go to the United States of America. So likewise, as I have explained, so English is really prevalent, or many people, or the most people use English language for the communication between, not between, among people having different mother tongues each other. Well, having the different dominant languages each other. Anyway, so which is why this time the conclusion is maybe not for the foreseeable future. So I posed a question in the section of title of this episode. So the title is English going to lose the position as the most prevalent international language, which is the title of this episode. And I spoke as a conclusion in the part of conclusion, and I'm going to tell you the conclusion again. And of course, I told you a part of conclusion. In this time, the conclusion is fair. It's not so short, but conclusion has long. Conclusion is fairly long. Anyway, so the conclusion is maybe not for the foreseeable future, which means English is not going to lose the position as the most prevalent international language for the foreseeable future, but things may turn astray. if other international languages grow more efficient for the majority of the entire world to use. So, this is, I think, I'd like to emphasize this point, which is, the point is, but the things may turn astray if other international languages grow more efficient for the majority of the entire world to use. So, I'm thinking of writing the conclusion in the description column of this episode, which is why. So if you are confused with what if you are confused with the conclusion I have just told you, so please take a look at the description column of this episode so that you can read the conclusion of this episode without listening to this podcast, or without listening to this episode, or without listening to my voice, because if maybe some of you have found my pronunciation really hard to understand. That is because, of course, that is because I'm a non-native speaker of English language, which is why I'm sometimes I can't come up with correct words for the concepts I want to tell you, or I want to explain. So anyways, for example, the buzzer, or, we call such a sound buzzer in my country, but actually, native speakers of English language may call that kind of noise, using another or other words. And anyway, so when it comes to English language, maybe people have different manners of speaking because of the local dialects vary, or local dialects are diversified in the case of English languages. For example, Scottish people speak English, but which is the English language spoken by Scottish people is clearly different from the English language spoken by English people, or spoken by, for example, American people. Anyway, so why I thought, to start with, why I thought, for example, why I thought English is going to continuously stay in the position of the international language is the reason I thought English is going to continuously stay on the position of the international language is, to start with, there's no other language which can replace the positions occupied by English language, which is the reason why I thought English is going to stay on the current position as the international language. Because, for example, so please imagine a situation like, for example, from tomorrow, or from the next day, or from the date one month after, for example, from the time one month after, you have to study French language, and you have to use French language as the international language in every part of the world. If such an event, or if such an occurrence occur, past tense should be used for such a situation, because such a situation is really unnatural, and such a situation is really an unrealistic one. And if such a situation occurred, so people would have really huge problems, and people would have, and including huge companies, and including many governments would have really huge problems. And to start with, communications would be broken, or communications would be destroyed between, the communications are the international communications, or transnational communications, whatever you call such communications done among people, or groups, or countries, or regions speaking or using different official languages, or different first languages. Such communications are going to be broken broken or destroyed. So, to start with, please confirm this one. So, which is why, if you are non-native speaker of English language, or if you, of course, if you even if you are not non-native speakers, non-native English speakers, please calm down. So, such a thing like, so English cease to be the international language spoken by people in every part of the world. Which is, such a situation never occurs, and such a situation is people cease, people every part of the society, people in every part of the world cease to speak out English language. Such a situation, I don't think such a situation is going to happen in the foreseeable future. But actually, things may. So the second sentence in the conclusion of this episode is what I'd like to emphasize. And things may turn astray if other international languages grow more efficient for the majority of the entire world to use. So I think most of you have thought that there is only one international language, which is English language, which I think is the understandings of most people. But actually, so when it comes to the use of languages, things are different. For example, so I'm recording this episode in the beginning of 2022, or on April in 2022. But actually, so for example, which is why there is a so the topics related to the war between Ukraine and Russia are really hot. The topics related to that war taking place between Russia and Ukraine are really hot, or really, really popular, not popular, really prevalent, or really, prevalent, and many people know that. Many people want to know what is going on between Ukraine and Russia, or in Ukrainian soil. Anyway, so, and why I began to talk about that war is because Russian language is a kind of international language, and the Russian language is used in the territory of the dissoluted Soviet soil, so dissoluted Soviet territories, which is why, for example, Kazakhstan or Turkmenistan, or even Ukraine use Russian language for communicating people having different dominant languages, which is why in such a sense, or in such a way, Russian deserves to be called an international language, and which is the case to, I don't know, of course, the situations are different, but actually, French language is another international language, and of course, before the era of English language, in this present time, English is the most prevalent international language. But before the English occupies that position, French language occupies a position as the international language, which had been the most prevalent language in Europe, or in the colonies of European countries. Maybe there was such an era, and in that time, or at that time, French language had been international language, and even in this present time, many African countries use French language, and some European languages use French language, beginning with France and Belgium, and there are other countries using French language. Anyway, so thinking, and Switzerland, a region of Switzerland uses French language, and thinking about such a situation, or thinking about such a circumstance, it's fine. I think it's fine to call French language not dominant language, but an international language. So language, and of course, in terms of the number of the native speakers, so Portuguese language and Spanish language can be international languages, and I think at least I think both of those languages, which are Portuguese language and Spanish language, deserve to be called international languages. So thinking about which, so there are many candidates which may replace which may occupy the position which has been occupied by English language for now. But actually, so things may go astray, or things may change in the future. So for example, when it comes to thinking about the nearest future, for example, if Russian Federation got really an immense power, for example, which I don't think is realistic, but actually, if Russian Federation got really a strong power, or really an immense power, so other countries surrounding Russian Federation may begin to use Russian language for international communications, because it's more beneficial, or it's more honorable for those countries surrounding Russian Federation to use Russian language, because Russia has really a strong power, or really maybe economically strong power. If such a case occurs, Russia would have. If such a situation occurred, Russia would have really a strong, or really an immense economic power, or economic power. Anyway, so thinking about which, many countries may begin to use Russian language for communicating with other countries, which is why Russian language may become the international language, which has been occupied by English language in reality. So thinking about such a situation, and going back to the original title of this episode, is English going to lose the position as the most prevalent international language? And the answer, or the conclusion, is maybe not for the foreseeable future. But things may turn astray if other international languages grow more efficient for the majority of the entire world to use. So if you're thinking of Chinese language, replacing English language, if you're thinking of such a situation, I don't think such a thing occur because Chinese people, at least smart Chinese people, can easily understand English language, and smart Chinese people, or maybe not. If some Chinese people are not so smart, if some Chinese people are not so smart, those people can speak out English to some degree, or to some preference, which is why maybe in the case of Chinese people, they speak out English language, and they communicate using English language, which is why you do not have to be worried about whether I don't know what kind of worries you have, but actually, if you are worried about whether you may come to have to learn Chinese language in the future, and I don't think such a future is going to come, because Chinese language is really difficult, but Chinese people can understand and acquire English language easily enough, which is why. So there's no danger that Chinese language occupies the position occupied by or owned by English language. Such a thing never. I don't think such a thing is going to happen. Which is what I'd like you to know this time. So by the way, at last, I call the alarming sound of car buzzer, but the correct pronunciation for the alarming sound is buzzer, not buzzer, but buzzer. So please understand like that. Please understand this one. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you.